as part of my PhD. Ooh! For God's sake. Oof. This feels like a really big video to film, even though it's not big at all. And I'm sure a lot of you probably saw this coming. And also a lot of you probably don't even care. As you can tell by the title, I'm moving to Ecuador. So I will have just posted on my Instagram and LinkedIn about what I'm doing, likely from the airport. I somehow managed to keep this quiet, I think. I don't think anyone DM'd me guessing, because for me, partly it didn't seem real, but also I just didn't want to say something and then it all go wrong, or me decide to not go. So yeah, I am moving to Ecuador for the final year of my PhD, which is so exciting. I've wanted to live abroad for as long as I can remember, and to be able to get the chance to do this as part of my PhD. Ooh! For God's sake. To be able to get the chance to do this as part of my PhD is just absolutely incredible, and I can't quite believe it. Once I had all the logistics organised, telling my friends and family was so exciting. My dad was a little bit wary, I think. For those of you who don't know, Ecuador isn't the safest of countries at the moment. I've been there on and off now for about 9 months and I absolutely love it. 9 months, 8 months, and I absolutely love it, and I feel really at home there. So I decided to go back. I also got a grant from DPhil, which are one of the UK's biggest funding bodies. They had given me a crazy amount of money, about £32,000, which just boggles my mind. As a self-funded DPhil student, that is a crazy amount of money, and I can't quite believe it. And the grant is reliant on me going and living my best life in Ecuador, collecting some more data and writing up my thesis and just having fun out in the jungle. Lots of work to do whilst I'm there because I need to collect data as part of the grant and write my thesis concurrently. I was applying for jobs in Oxford for my final year. It took me weeks to decide what to do. I was toying back and forward between staying in Oxford, but as you guys will know, I am a self-funded DPhil student, and without a job, it's pretty much impossible to afford living in Oxford, and I certainly do not have the money to do so. So I was applying for junior dean roles and welfare roles similar to that I've had this year and last year. But because I'm going to be in my final year, a lot of colleges don't want final year students and to invest in them because they leave after a year, which is completely fair enough. I had a couple of interviews, but I think I knew in my heart of hearts that I didn't want to be in the country for my final year. It's going to be very tough being away from the expertise that are based in Oxford, my lab, my supervisor and all of that. It's going to be really tricky. I've got a lot to learn on my own regarding bioacoustics, statistical analysis, but I'm really excited, and I think it'll be good for writing because I can just knuckle down and write my thesis from South America, which is wild. I have my confirmation of status, which is basically a mini viva 3 terms before your main viva at the end of September. So by then, hopefully I'll pass that one, fingers crossed. And then by next summer, I'll be submitting my DPhil thesis. Wild. I was so stunned when I got this grant. I actually was awarded it in April and I announced it the following day on Instagram, but I've kept quiet until now. The application for the grant was due at 5 p.m. on January the 9th. I opened a portal on January the 9th at midday. It had to get approved by somebody in an office. Luckily, they approved it that day, and I put my application in on a whim. I remember clicking send and thinking, even if I got this, there's no way that I could go back to Ecuador for my final year. And then later on in January, I got an email whilst I was in a museum in Madrid with Bryony, and it said that I'd been shortlisted. And I read that about 10 times, thinking that it was a scam. And then again in February, I got an email saying that they would like to invite me for an interview. And then I had the interview on the 25th of April. It lasted 12 minutes and I found out 4 hours later that I had been offered the grant. And I screamed in the middle of town with my friend Daisy because we were just so stunned and overwhelmed. The interview was so fast. I think because I've been to Ecuador previously, and I also had references from 2 of my field collaborators that were sent in with the grant application, so I'm sure that would have made it stronger as well. Take this as a sign to apply to the grant even if you don't think you'll get it, or if you're not sure whether you can make it work, because if you really want something and you get it, you'll make it work. I'm the prime example of that. I have been emptying my room now for literally weeks. My college very kindly let me stay for a couple of extra weeks whilst I figured everything out. My role here actually ended at the end of June, so they have been very generous. But I have been packing up. You can see down there things ready for my mum to take. When you see this video, she should have taken them, and this room will be occupied by the new junior dean. I've absolutely loved being with the students here at this college. It's been incredible, and without this job I wouldn't have been able to complete my DPhil, so I'm very, very appreciative. When I'm filming this, I have 10 days before I fly. I'll show you my pile of suitcases just down there. I am actually checking in 4 big suitcases, I think. I need to go through all of my clothes. Obviously Ecuador is about 30 degrees, so I only need to take warm things for now. I will be coming home intermittently. My grant allows me to come home for periods of up to 3 weeks and I can continue getting paid. But if I come home for longer than that, they'll pause the money and then I can recoup it at the end of the year if I continue. I'm not planning to come home for long at all, really. I absolutely love being out in the field and I have a lot of work to do. So it's very likely that I'll be sat at my desk for many hours every day. I am taking my big screen with me. If you guys know, I recently got the big LG MyView smart monitor thing, I think it's called. I'm going to try and ship that over with me in a suitcase. There is no postal service in Ecuador because it went bust during COVID. So I've got to put it in one of the cases and wrap it with bubble wrap and fragile tape and pray to the God that I don't believe in that it makes its way there. Overall, I cannot wait to get back out into the field. I'm counting down the days and packing as I go. There's still shitloads to do. All the main things are organised. My flights are booked, my accommodation's booked, my transfers are booked, my insurance is paid for. I'm also excited to get out there and start my work. I think it sounds ironic, but here in England, I struggle to get into the flow of things because I always get distracted or I go away for weekends. So being out there, fun as it is, it's a little bit more isolated so I can get a bit more work done, I hope. Short. I will, of course, continue with PhD content. I have bulk filmed a lot and that will continue to go up. I have a whole new series I'm starting on PhD tips and all sorts. I've got a whole bunch of B-roll content from Oxford. I've lived in Oxford for 4 years. So I've got so much content that I can use, and of course it will continue with a little bit of Ecuador stuff interspersed as well. But it is also my final year, so the content might take a bit of a back foot. I feel like I haven't breathed at all, and I've had a tea here this whole time that I haven't even sipped. That was a ramble and a half from me. Sorry this video feels really sporadic. I didn't really plan it, but I felt like I needed to do a longer form video than probably just posting a photo on Instagram of me at the airport with God knows how many suitcases. If you have any questions, chuck them down below and I'm more than happy to answer them. Follow me over on Instagram. I will be vlogging, of course, while I'm away, but I'll be posting more often on Instagram, as is always the case. So go follow over there if you want to see a few of my day-to-day antics. Thank you so much for watching, and I guess I'll catch you in Ecuador. Adios.